Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to give you all a recap, a heads up, a way to get everything you need to know before we press enter tomorrow. We are less than 24 hours away from what seems like what is going to be one of the best times to play Destiny ever. I hope you all are just excited as I am. As a little heads up before we head to the rest of the video, I will be live tomorrow at reset, noon Eastern, on twitch.tv/teal on Destiny. If you are interested in watching some cool Void builds or just want to come hang out while we wait in queue, that's cool too. Alright, on to the rest of the video. The first and number one thing you need to know for tomorrow, expect a queue. Just do. Be prepared to be kicked out at least a couple times as well tomorrow. I know this may seem obvious to a lot, but it's not. Don't get pissed off that you aren't in game. Don't get pissed off that you're in a queue for an hour plus. It's normal, it's going to happen, and it's a major part of Destiny releases. We have over 1 million pre-orders, people. Don't get pissed off we're in queue. Don't go on Twitter, don't go raging at the community managers. They're just there to relay the information to us that the server team is working on it. I'm sure they will do their best tonight during downtime to get the servers as prepared as possible for what is going to be one of the biggest influxes in players this game has ever seen. So, be patient tomorrow. Expect to be kicked. Expect downtime. Expect the worst, but be prepared for the best. That's all I have to say about that. From here on out, I put these in is just kind of the order I pulled them from the tops. So, that being said, next up, starting in the Witch Queen, we will be able to unlock all 25 seasonal artifact mods. So this means XP is going to be important. Make sure you are doing those bounties to level up fast and get those mods you want as soon as possible. Also, to keep with this, we know that next season we will have Overload Auto at SMG, Anti-Barrier Scout and Bow, and Unstoppable Glaive. The only thing we don't know is a second Unstop. My assumption, with the 10% Pulse Rifle buff, it will be Unstop Pulse Rifle. So, be on the lookout for things like Bad Juju, things like Outbreak Perfected. Both of them will be extremely good. High Impact Pulses will probably feel really good with their 10% buff, but we'll get to that. Next up, one of the coolest changes, switching armor affinities is being made way cheaper. They are going to allow us to switch legendary armor for 10,000 glimmer and an upgrade module. And for exotics, it will be 20,000 glimmer and an upgrade module. This is going to really open up build crafting and lower the amount of armor you need in total, especially in the exotic chest piece front, where resists are so important in endgame content. You can now just need one exotic chest piece for certain exotic chest pieces that we run. You don't have to have 3 copies of it, 1 arc, 1 solar, 1 void, or 1 stasis now, because you no longer have to worry about switching between all of them, because it'll be cheap. Fourth, a note about our power and its caps. The soft cap, which is the cap that is given to blue drops, providing positive power bonuses, is going to be 1500. The powerful cap, which is the cap at which reward sites deemed as powerful drops, will be 1550. And the pinnacle cap, which is, if you can guess, is the cap where drops deemed as pinnacle drop from one of the pinnacle activities will reward you with stuff that drops all the way up to 1560. That will be our max light level for Season 16. Fifth, a change I forgot about and makes my leveling guide basically useless, is the fact that once you hit 1500, blues will stop dropping from the end of activity completions. This means going forward you will need to use the Moon Champion farm for blues, which I will make a TikTok explaining how to do. If you are interested, go follow Teal on Destiny on TikTok and it will be there on Wednesday. Sixth, Banshee is getting reworked, so all of your gunsmith maps are going to be useless. He is going to work like the other vendors, and in order to gain reputation from him, you will need to either do his bounties or delete legendary or exotic gear. Eighth, Rojo is taking over all material exchange moving forward, including shards and prisms. He will work pretty much like Spider now, except add the shards and prisms exchange to him. On top of this, the mods vendors, currently Banshee and Ada, will now be selling 4 mods a day instead of 2. Next up, a ninth important thing you need to know for Witch Queen is the Strike playlist is being condensed down to the Vanguard Operations playlist, which will now contain the Battlegrounds as well, which I personally am all for, since those were by far the best activity all year. They were extremely ad dense, they were really good for showing off builds, and you never felt like you had to fight for kills. So, and they're just as quick as a Strike, especially the map version ones, which is the ones we're getting, so there won't be any champions in them, so they really won't be that hard to deal with long term. Next up, we are getting 2 new / returning weapons as Nightfall weapons, the Silicon Neuroma and the Duty Bound, both of which could be stasis because they were OG Nightfall weapons from D2 Year 1. They're going to be a huge meta choices because they are both really good archetypes. Duty Bound is a 600 round per minute at auto rifle, and Silicon Neuroma is a 72 RPM sniper rifle. Right now, the only kinetic one that I know of is the DSC one, which doesn't roll with incredibly amazing perks. It rolls with decent perks, but not like the best things ever. Obviously, Reconstruction is a great perk, but I think there could be potential for a better high impact sniper rifle in that slot. And they're also going to have their origin traits. 11th, we have a controversial change, but I think all things considered, it's a positive one. There will now only be 1 legendary / master lost sector instead of 2. This does mean that the lost sectors you want to run will be up more often going forward, and the rotation will be a little more predictable. You won't have to count 5 days to see when the next of that piece is up. You will only have to count 4, and you can choose whether you run legendary or master on that lost sector. You can do it once on legend, do it once on master, figure out which one you think is going to be the most efficient, and then run it that way. 12th, we are getting a new pursuit weapon. This time, it's what I'm assuming to be a pellet shotgun with a new trait. This new perk gives you increased handling after a kill. My guess is this is going to be top PvP weapon, but a non-pick in PvE, but we will see. Pellet shotguns right now just aren't good PvE weapons, and so it doesn't really matter what they do to them. They're just not going to be a pick right now, especially when slugs exist. We would have to be a situation where we can stand on top of a boss and we can't crit it, which would be really weird for them to do. We basically have to have a boss, and that we for some reason couldn't sword. We would really have a range where we couldn't sword it, but we had to be really close to it, which I don't see happening. So as far as I am concerned, pellet shotguns are not in the meta. Next up, the biggest change, in my opinion, to the game is origin traits. These are 3rd traits on each weapon that have unique capabilities that feed into the weapon's identity and boost its capabilities. We are getting 14 in Season 16 alone. We are getting 14 of these. 1 for Trials, 1 for Crucible, 1 for Strikes, 1 for Nightfalls, 1 for each Foundry. Weist, Omelon, Hake, Suros. We're getting 1 for Gambit. We are probably going to get 1 for the Raid. We're probably going to get 1 for the Throne World. We are probably going to get 1 for the... Actually, no, we're getting 1 for the Seasonal Activity. So that puts us at 12. We need another 2 more. And we will have all 14 that we are getting. But that is a lot. In total, we're getting 50 brand new... We're getting 50 weapons. I know some of those are technical reissues from the fact of like Silicon Neuroma, but technically it's 50 new weapons, right? This is going to keep loot desirable. Everyone is going to choose which of their origin traits they like, and we'll go after those. I personally hope this gives endgame weapons some real identity and purpose long term. IMO, dungeon, and raid weapons especially lack identity and purpose. They really are just legendary weapons with the best perks possible. Things like Fatebringer is just a legendary hand cannon, all things considered, but it has the best perk roll for a hand cannon in the game, right? Like, you can't get a better perk roll than Explosive Payload Frenzy on a hand cannon, because it's a constant 30% buff on a gun. Like, there's not another perk combo in the game you would take over that. but that's the only thing that makes it unique and makes it desirable. Right now, basically every other legendary kinetic hand cannon besides maybe IS Luna, because its stasis is irrelevant to us, because, well, they don't do anything different than my Fatebringer already does, so why would I farm for it, right? So I really hope this gives dungeon and raid weapons some real purpose going forward. 14th, we are getting 3 new weapons, one for each playlist. A slug shotgun for strikes, a hand cannon for PvP, and an auto rifle for Gambit. These guns will come with their respective playlist traits and their foundry traits. Because the slug is a Suro slug, the hand cannon is an Omolon hand cannon, and the auto rifle is a Hawke auto rifle. 2 different meta-defining buffs are up next for change number 15. They're giving pulses a 10% buff, and then all exotic primaries a 40% buff. So yes, your exotic pulses are going up 54% technically math-wise. So be on the lookout. There are going to be some absolutely amazing primaries that will take up your exotic slot now, and I would be on the lookout for using exotic primaries. I think for me, Bad Juju is looking incredibly tempting. It feels pretty good right now, and with a 50% buff, it could feel really good. And with it basically just giving you super energy, it's going to feel really good in my opinion. So Bad Juju's at the top of my list. Huckleberry is going to be insane. Huckleberry is already a really, really good gun. It's going to be nuts. Like, that gun's going to be like a special weapon against like red bars. Like, that thing is going to fry. Terrible's going to be really good. There's going to be a lot of really, really good exotic primaries come next season. So be on the lookout for exotic primaries. Like, really, they're going to be nuts. A sad but important change to take note of. They will be reducing eager edge skating in the hopes to slow us down a little bit. I think this is mostly intended for day 1 raiding purposes. They don't want people zooming through the raid or zooming so fast they get pushed out of bounds for some reason, right? In fact, we do know the cap of this due to a interview on Massive Breakdown. This will be capped at about 20 meters per second, which is still ridiculously fast. Like, if you want to math that out to what that is in miles per hour, you can. But yes, that is incredibly fast long term. And will still be like the fastest way to move outside of maybe a sparrow. So yeah, it'll still be super fast. At 17, we have Void 3.0. This is a complete overhaul to the Void element and how it behaves in game. I'm personally so excited for this. I really think this is the beginning of deep build crafting and making a class meaning something. Seeing a really good Void Walker could be useful in in-game content or the future, maybe like things like Arcstrider. If a top player gets used to it, could really break the mold and people can create their meta. This is the hope, at least. I really think this is the start of each class meaning something, and it not just being, oh, well, you're on a Void Walker. That's not very useful, but you can make your class useful. You can make yourself useful. You can make yourself mean something to a fire team. If you like running Void Walker, and that's a class and playstyle you identify with, then you should be able to run that even in the hardest of content, in my opinion. Things like Gunslinger lack identity and lack purpose right now, but the idea of a Gunslinger is incredibly cool. Things like Stormcaller, things like Striker Titan. These are all really cool classes that have really neat identities, but they don't have a purpose right now because their elements don't really do anything, and their class makeups don't really solve any purpose. And so I think the start with here of Void 3.0 is the start of us seeing more powerful classes and a better class balance overall. The legendary campaign and all of its... Wait, sorry, I skipped ahead. Nope, I didn't. Legendary campaign and all of its rewards are up next at 18. This is a huge one for the hardcore player base. A potential challenge from day 1 of the DLC. This is the kind of stuff the hardcore player base wants. Something to push them and make them do what they do best, but doesn't alienate the casuals because they can still play through it. at a normal difficulty. This makes the hardcore player base who can handle being under light, who can handle a challenge, who can handle being pushed, have something to go play, and doesn't make them feel like the campaign meant nothing. Whereas the regular player, who might even struggle with the regular campaign, can go play and enjoy the regular campaign and enjoy the story and not have to stress about sweating their way through the legendary campaign. Personally, I'll be sweating my way through the legendary campaign because first I find it interesting to be pushed day one, to have to try day one. Whereas last year with Beyond Light, it was kind of chill. You just kind of ran through, you kind of just did whatever you wanted to do, and you were done. Like, there was no stress with it. We have a slew of Gambit changes to top us off here at number 19. A freelance node has been added to the playlist, which will allow solo players to have a better overall experience in the mode. Added a suite of closer spawn points in Gambit to make it so in case you do die, you can just come back into the fight a lot faster. Building off of that, when players do die, they now only drop half their total motes, and the motes they do drop no longer disappear into oblivion. They are dropped onto the ground and can be picked up by either an invader or by a teammate. I actually think this being allowed for invaders to pick up those drop motes brings a new style of aggression to invading, because now you could send an invader who usually has 0 motes, right? Go in there, kill the entire enemy team, but if they do it aggressively enough, they can get the entire team wiped and then pick up all their motes, which could equal 15, 20 motes, and then bring that back, drop those 15 motes into the bank, and now they're sending a large blocker right back to that team. And you could really catch up this way. Like, if you're down, like if you're at 40 motes for your invade, which is the new invade number, and they're at 80, really about to get close to that primeval, you could completely slow that down with one invader. And also, invaders drain motes still, and the invader doesn't have to be close to the bank to do that. They can do it from anywhere on the map. They can just hide and do it. Lastly, and I think most importantly, have fun. Enjoy it all. This is always the best time of the year for us Destiny players. Enjoy it. Be kind to fellow Guardians, new and veteran. If you're tired, get off. Don't push yourselves. Don't try to get it all done tomorrow. Have fun. Enjoy the new content. We have 10 days till the raid. We have a 20 power level bonus that we weren't expecting. Take it fun. Don't rush through power leveling. Enjoy the game. We have so much to do. So much things that are fun and look awesome. Enjoy it. And now, let's get out there and kick Sabathoon's ass. Please. Alright everyone, that's it for the last video before Witch Queen. I hope everyone enjoyed. I will see you all on Wednesday for a new video, and tomorrow in stream if you come by. Thanks for supporting. I just broke 50 subs, which is huge. We are halfway to 100. My goal is to be at 100 by the end of Season 16. If we can get there, I will be on pace to have my goal. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and sub if you haven't, if you enjoyed. And goodbye.